Today, I want to talk about something that is really common for the clients that I work with to have been experiencing, and like that comes up and kind of blocks them from experiencing the levels of energy that they want to experience, which is, feeling at peace, feeling present, feeling joyful and what they're doing, and being able to acknowledge their accomplishments and genuinely enjoy what they have going on in their life. So one of the things that is really important is that can get in the way is responsibility. It's when we are overly responsible. So maybe some of you guys can resonate with this or relate to this. So essentially what I want to talk about today is discovering who you are outside of your responsibilities and really learning how to address and heal that responsibility wound that we can have when we are, too independent as a child. This can kind of come from maybe having an absent parent, or this can come from just kind of feeling like maybe you're an empath. This is very common for empaths to feel like maybe you had both parents, maybe you had everything that you needed, but because of the empath in you, you felt like you needed to take responsibility for your parents' stress or hard times or whatever. You wanted to make them feel better. Or maybe you had a sibling or step siblings that were going through particularly hard times, and you wanted to take responsibility, not because you meant to or because you thought it was your fault necessarily, but you just felt called to help them, and you felt called to take responsibility for them to be happy, for them to feel better. And it's something maybe you didn't realize you were doing, or it's just something that has always been something that you feel called to do, whether it's your friends or your family members or your lovers. If something is wrong with them, it's like you can feel it as an empath, right? It's causing you and your nervous system so much discomfort that it makes you feel like in order for you to survive, or in order for you to feel better, feel at peace, we have to fix the problem, right? We have to fix their discomfort. And as an empath, I can totally relate to this as well. So hopefully maybe you guys can, you guys are feeling where I'm coming from here. So what I want to talk about is that responsibility wound, or like being that empath who has felt the need to be responsible and felt the need to do it all on your own. Like, I know for me, another way that this can be passed down is like my mom, she was very much like this as well. She was very much in the mindset of, I have to do it myself or it won't get done, or it won't get done properly. Like, or in other words, help is not, there is no help. Nobody is here to help you. You're on your own. Um, even if you ask for help, you're going to have to do more work because you're going to have to fix whatever they've done because they're not going to care about it as much as you. So therefore, your needs are not valid. Just do it yourself. Just get it done. Just figure it out, right? Don't ask for help. Just get it done because it's going to be harder if you ask for help. So I don't know if some of you guys can relate with that, but that's what I grew up with. And that's how my mom was. And so I kind of adapted to that as, I got older and I started to realize like, oh, I'm not going to ask for help. Like, I don't need to, get anybody else involved. It's only going to be worse because number one, as an empath, we don't want to get other people involved because we don't want to burden them, right? We know how hard it is on us when other people are having a hard time. We want to fix. We don't want to burden somebody else with that need to fix or that responsibility because we know how stressful it can be. And then it's the second part for me. If you were raised in an environment where you were taught that help wasn't actually help and that you need to do it yourself, then it just adds another layer of taking on responsibility for it. Now, the issue here with this is the first thing I want to talk about is the responsibility wound. So there's a wound, an emotional wound that this can create, and it can cause a lot of patterns within our relationships, within how we treat ourselves. And so the wound is like nobody's there for us or we're not important. You know, I know for me, particularly from my experience, one of the hardest things for me to have to heal in terms of this responsibility wound was feeling like I was always there for people. I was always, making sure that I gave 100% of my energy to help others or solve their problems or do whatever and show up. But when it came to me, when it came down to, I need something because I have these things in the background, like, oh, I don't want to burden people. Oh, help. There is no help. Nobody's coming to save you. Nobody's coming to help you, right? When I needed something, those things were proven true to me because it always seemed like, and I don't know, what we think creates our emotions, and our beliefs create how we experience life. So it could have just been my perspective of how these people were showing up, but whatever it was, that belief of they're not going to help, and like it's not going to work, like don't ask for help. Anytime I did finally break down and like try to get something, like somebody to help me or somebody to do something back, it always seemed like that energy was that energy that I gave to help people was never reciprocated. It always seemed like I couldn't count on the people around me because they were too busy, or like I said, I didn't want to burden them, or they had their own problems. They had their own things going on. So my own problems never took precedence in my own life or in anybody else's life. So let's put it that way too. That's another thing that this responsibility wound can create. The type of habits and patterns that it can create is we tell ourselves that we don't deserve help, or that help is not available to us. And so therefore we shove our own needs down. And eventually what we're doing is we're confirming to ourselves that our needs are not good enough to be helped, or not valid enough to be helped, to be supported. So we just kind of need to get over it. We need to sweep it under the rug. We need to keep moving in order to survive. We need to not worry about it. We're not. So then now the relationship to ourselves is reflecting that we're not valued. We're not important. We're not priority. Right. So now anytime, let's say, and now here is how it's affecting my clients in the present day. Now they're coming to a place where they want to prioritize themselves. Now they're coming to a place where they want to figure out what they want, and what they want to experience and how they want to feel. So when they start asking these questions of, well, what does Heather want? Or what does Emily want? Or what do I want? Right? Whoever it is, right? What do I want? Their nervous system is exploding. Their nervous system is going crazy because this inward, now the perspective is now facing inward, and it's causing the emotions and the nervous system to be very uncomfortable, because it's always been about like, well, what can I do for my sibling? What can I do for my parents? What can I do for my lovers? What can I do for my friends? What can I do for my coworkers? And now we're taking a moment to be like, I don't want to live in this like do for everybody else, because now it's like we come to a point where it's like a breaking point where, okay, now we need help, and we're going to give ourselves the job to help ourselves. And so we start asking these questions. We start going through that healing, and it's very uncomfortable. It's very challenging. So the first thing that we have to do with this is what I like to call, there's a few different things, but the first thing is there has to be some sort of emotional expression. So a lot of what can come with being someone who is the responsible one, or the strong one in the family, or in your environment, there's a lot of like sadness that can come with this, and a lot of frustration that, sometimes we just want to be the baby. Sometimes we just want to be held, and we want to be done for, and we want to be taken care of, and we want to feel it's safety. It's safety and stability. And when we're always the responsible one, when we're always the strong one, that sense of safety and stability is not something that we have a foundation in, because we are so used to everything being uprooted, everything going wrong, and we have to be the ones to fix it. And because we want that, we crave that stability and that safety so much, that's why we go above and beyond to create that safety and stability for our lovers, for our coworkers, for our parents, because it's really what we want. So we're giving it. We are like, okay, how can I make you feel safe and stable? But meanwhile, we don't really know how, we haven't taken the time to give that to ourselves. So what I find is that stability and that safety and that feeling of just being taken care of is so important. And that's got to be the first step when healing the responsibility wound. One, on the journey of figuring out who you are outside of being a mom, outside of being a career woman, outside of being a wife, figuring out who you are and connecting back with your soul. The first step is going into those emotional states that feel chaotic, that feel sad, that feel frustrated, and giving them what they're missing yourself. I like to look at it, a good way to look at it is like reparenting. So we're going into that sadness, we're going into that anger, and we're letting ourselves express it. That might look like punching a pillow, screaming into a pillow, journaling, doing some sort of creative art, listening to music that makes you upset and then like singing it until you're crying and then or screaming, right? Letting it out. You got to break it. You got to break through it. You got to break it out from you. So we've got to express it. We've got to find it. We've got to reparent it, give it what it needs. Imagine you, like, I know for me, something that was really healing is when I would go into my meditative state and I would find that part of myself that just felt like it had nobody to take care of it. It felt like it was the one in charge. It felt like it was the one that had to take care of everybody else. I found it. And when I found that energy and I meditated on it and I held that part of me and I just let it be a baby for a second. I just like held it, I cuddled it, I rubbed its hair, I rubbed her back. I just did everything that I wish I had, right? I did everything that I would do for other people, for myself, for that part of me who felt like that was missing. So hopefully this is making sense. We've got to move that energy. That energy is stuck. When we are carrying a responsibility wound and we're having trouble finding clarity on who we are, what we want our life to look like, and we're discovering, we're in that self-discovery mode, and that feels impossible or it feels confusing. And this could be a reason why we're responsible for everything else except for ourselves. We're responsible for everybody, and nobody's responsible for us, including ourselves, right? And it's a thing that just happens. Like I said, usually when maybe you have parents who have not healed their own trauma and they have their own issues, they have their own stress, and you are an empath and you kind of take that on, or maybe you have an absent parent and you've had to be overly independent, whatever the case is. You know, there's a couple of different ways that you could have taken on a responsibility string that has caused a responsibility wound. So hopefully this is making sense so far. So the first step is really like you've got to break free. You've got to let those emotions break free. And then once you allow those emotions to break free, the next thing that we have to do is reparent that part of ourselves that feels like it is missing something. And then finally, we need to allow ourselves, it's a process. Okay, when I say that transformation, change, manifesting, self-discovery, all of this, I try to make these, quick 10, 15, 20-minute videos to give you guys some insight, some tools. But I want you guys to know it's a process. It's not something that just happens overnight or even in a month, really. You've got to get clarity and you've got to release the emotions that are standing in the way of that clarity, that are causing the nervous system chaos and the confusion, the mental confusion. We've got to clear all of that out. We've got to make space for clarity. And then we've got to build trust. And the way we build trust is to follow what we think we want, to follow what we think is the next step, and be willing to trust that if it's a mistake or that if it's not the right direction, that we will be okay. We will learn from it and we will use it as a stepping stone to get where we want to go. Because what I have learned the most as a healer and as a mentor is the only way to learn who we are is to figure out who we are not. And the only way we're going to figure out who we are not is to experience the things, the little nudges, the little directions that our soul or our mind and our heart is telling us to pursue. We have to pursue certain things. We have to give things a certain try. And that is where we will learn, what did we like? What did we not like? And what mistakes were made, or what can we do differently next time to be successful, right? The only way you become a master is if you are first a mess. And the only way you become clear on what is truly for you is when you are really clear on what is not. So the only way through that is to start build it's trust. You have to have a foundation of safety, stability, and trust. And that's going to come from letting your emotions be expressed, reparenting the parts of yourself that feel discarded or neglected, right? For whatever reason, reparenting them, bringing them back into your soul, bringing them back, integrating them so that you are whole. And then giving yourself grace to try new things, to try things you think about, to give things a shot, to take risks, to put yourself out there, to talk about things that you want to talk about more. And in those actions of experience, again, it's where you start to figure out this felt good, this didn't. You won't know. You won't know if you want to reach that goal. You won't know if you want to experience this in life unless you start working towards it. And when you start working towards it, that is where all of the answers will be found. And the only way we are able to work towards it is if we first break through all that emotional barrier that's keeping us from the clarity of what we need to try, anyways, and build that trust. And the only way we build that trust is by going inward and giving ourselves what we feel we have been neglected of, or going back and validating those parts of ourselves that might feel rejected or discarded along the way. Not necessarily that we intended to do it, but it happens. So it's a process, and it's a learning process. There's a learning curve to building a relationship with yourself, building these foundations of stability and trust so that you can take action, so that you can take risks, so that you can make mistakes and get it wrong to get it right. Right. So I hope this is making sense so far. I hope you guys have enjoyed this so far. And, that is why I do these manifesting clarity calls. And it's really to help you identify where you might be having this identity entanglement. And the identity entanglement is just that external conditioning and the unresolved emotional trauma. It really helps you identify what are those blocks. It's like essentially for manifesting clarity, for achievement clarity, it's healing clarity. What inside of me needs attention? What part of myself needs exploring? And that's what that clarity reading will do. So if you want to have that clarity call, it's a free 15-minute, no obligation clarity call, and it'll give you some ideas on what might be blocking you and guidance from your higher self and your spirit guides on how to move forward. And then at the end of the call, if I have any extra resources that I can provide to you, I'll do that as well. So the link to book that call is above. So please book that call if you're feeling called to do so and you're ready for that type of support. And again, I really hope that you guys enjoyed what I had for you guys today. I hope it resonated. I hope it landed. Please let me know in the comments what you thought, if everything made sense, or if you have any questions. And that's all I have for you guys today. So I hope you guys have a wonderful rest of your week, and I'll see you guys next week.